What actually causes food intolerances? And what do you need to focus on if you are seemingly reacting negatively to foods that you eat? So, some intolerances might be linked to actual malabsorption problems, like specific to that food. What I mean is maybe you have a deficiency in an enzyme that you need to break down that food, like we see with lactose intolerance for lactose. You don't have lactase enzyme, you're not breaking down dairy products, and so forth. We can also see this with fat malabsorption in some cases where bile is not being produced properly, or there's issues specifically with the release of enzymes. We can see this with pancreatic enzymes with a more broad scope of food. So that is one thing that could be going on. What most often contributes to food intolerance and actual reactions to food is a disruption in how the gut itself is functioning. So it's not the foods themselves that are always the problem, but your gut is not actually doing its job properly to break those down, which then leads to disruptions. One reason for this is motility issues. So your gut moves like a muscle, right? So it squeezes, releases, squeezes, releases. Whenever things are moving too quickly, that causes cramping, that can cause diarrhea. That also might look like fat malabsorption because things moved too quickly and they weren't able to be broken down in time. You also could be moving too slow, and that can lead to gas buildup, cramping, discomfort, the feeling of like over fullness after meals, maybe even some kind of vomiting or reflux and things on the upper side of the GI tract. Another disruption that happens inside the gut is an increase in intestinal permeability. This is that leakiness of the gut. You've likely heard of termed like leaky gut. Now, this is not a root cause really of anything. There's a lot that can impact your intestinal permeability, and this can change day to day. So this isn't something new and like freaky. It's something that just happens. Your intestinal permeability can shift and change. But when things are a little bit leakier in your gut, especially your small intestine and your large intestine, then you may experience more symptoms related to certain foods that are a certain particle size, that maybe produce more gas, or you may even in some cases have disruptions in the release of those digestive juices and enzymes and things that you need, again, to break foods down properly and feel good. And another thing that can happen that we specifically see in IBS patients is an increase in visceral hypersensitivity. Now, this might also be linked to your permeability, but this is where the sensations in the gut are communicated to the brain, but the brain kind of communicates back a little dramatically, to put it simply. So you may experience more pain, you may have visible distension in response to just digesting food, where the food itself is not necessarily causing a major problem. Maybe there's a low gas production, maybe there's some water pulling into the gut, but your body is reacting in a more extreme way because of that hypersensitivity. Now, there are other things that could also be going on, but these are the things we see the most often. So I'm curious, does any of this resonate with you? If so, add your experience in the comments.